My name is Traci and I'm an alcoholic. Identify with a lot of things. I came in with a meth habit, but I started out with the crack habit. I'm not unique. The story I'm about to tell you, I'm sure you've all been through. I started as a troubled youth, in and out of girls' homes, foster homes, juvenile hall, and graduated to prison. My first prison term was for drugs. I hung around notorious gang members and was snatching chains, and it got me a robbery PC. So that drug charge overran, the robbery PC overran the drug charge. So I was given 3 years and went to CIW. Of course, every time I've been to CIW, it's a new number. I've got 3 numbers. I started out with W 42298, ended up with WE 3123. I even have a 66681 number. So obviously my crime and my drug use, I wasn't very good at it. Prostitution's a big part of my story. I considered myself a recreational therapist because it got me more money. It took a long time after I got clean. I've got 10 years and it took me a long time. Thank you. But it took me longer to stop the prostitution. I didn't go to school. I was one of those kids that fell through the cracks. Even though I was sent to girls' homes and juvenile hall, I was given 6 months to a year, and I dragged that out to 6 years. And they emancipated me. And at that time, I was marrying somebody that was out of the country for money. That's the only time I've married, and I've married twice for money. Never had kids, which was a blessing, because I'm sure I wouldn't have them today. So they emancipated me. So I was one of those kids that fell through the cracks. I didn't go to school, still don't have a GED. Going to an adult school now, and it's not easy. 90% of the, going to school is, you'll graduate. You don't even have to really know anything. So now I got to know some stuff. So it's really difficult. Math is a motherfucker, you're dealing in grams and pounds and ounces, but that's not how it works, So, like I said, my story is not unique. I was on crack for 27 years. I was fortunate enough, my grandmother is a Reverend Dr. Bishop of a Methodist church, and my mom was a single parent. I started running away and ditching school at a really young age. So at the age of 12, I was taken out of the home. So I didn't get clean and sober until I was 46. So I've been ripping and running, to say the least. I didn't stay in those girls' homes, foster homes. I didn't stay in them. I would be out there running amok. And by chance, I would, found myself in Florida. They arrested me and they took me back to California. So I stayed a month in, juvenile hall. That's how, my divine intervention happened for me. I'd be out there ripping and running. I'd go to jail for a month. And that's what helped me get emancipated. The same with prison, I wasn't a good criminal, but I'm telling you that divine intervention really stepped in. I feel really fortunate for all the numbers that I have and all the time that I've spent in and out of jail. I did fire camp, 3 times, held really good positions. First time I went to prison, I was second saw. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Second term, first one was Malibu, second one was Rainbow. I didn't have enough time in Rainbow to be the swamper. So I just stepped down and took the McLeod. The third time I was the swamper for the training facility in CIW, and we went on some fires out of there. But that kind of stuff, like I've done more cool stuff while I was getting high, and being locked up until I found out what the root cause was, and that was through Red Brown. I was on probation. I was on parole. I was addicted to things. And the first program, well, first I was never given a program, ever. I was always given prison. And so when they came up with Prop 47 or Prop 30, whatever it was, some number, I would get out, and I was an everyday user when it was crack. I was only on meth for 4 years before I caught a new case. But crack I was on for 27 years. I lived with the dealer. He was much older than me. And when he died at 82, that's when I had to find some other means to come up with how I was accustomed to using. And it just wasn't working. He didn't use, so there was an endless supply. I finally found the meth pipe one day, and I was off and running. I had a case within 4 years. And when I went to jail, I had 2 little dogs that meant the world to me. I'd had them for like 7 years, and they were Chihuahuas. My little dog, his name was Chiquitín. And the little girl was named Felony. And the reason why her name was Felony was because I stole her. And she was such a good dog. But when I stole her, I threw her into a backpack and called a taxi, got home, got back before the girl even knew she was missing her dog. But when I was in the taxi and I thought, what am I going to name her? Whatever, because I'd been looking for a female to mate with my male. And so I was looking, I go, what am I going to call her? And she popped out. She was all white. She looked like a baby seal. And she pops her head out and I go, Felony. And so she'd be walking down the street. We'd be walking down the street and I'd go, Felony. And people would go, what? What's going on? So when I got busted again, after the gentleman that I had been with for 27 years passed away, I have my 2 dogs. And so within 4 years, again, I'm going back to jail, this time for fraud. And I'm a basket case, total basket case. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop crying. The only thing I thought about was, and she was pregnant. And I'm just going crazy, basically threw me into a psychosis, and I asked for a stay of execution. They had sentenced me to 16 months for my last crime. And I thought, fuck it, I got nothing to lose. Can I get a stay of execution? I got shit to take care of. And they said, yeah. And I said, what? Let me take this. So I go out, and I had just ran into my family after 40 years. Like I said, I didn't get clean until 46. So I had run into my family, they found me on Facebook in a bad situation in Lomita. And they came, picked me up. It didn't work out because I was on drugs. And but I had seen my mother, and I hadn't seen my mother since I was 12. I didn't go back home. I was like, okay, let's do this, right? So I'm getting out of Bellflower jail, and I go like, which way do I, go? Because I'm from LA, MacArthur Park. Yeah, I'm telling you, I hung around notorious gang members. MS was my first gang. They taught me Spanish. And 18th Street, they let me do what I wanted to do on their streets. So it was no joke. This is back in the 80s and 90s, back when MS was just stoners, going to concerts and rock and roll and all that. So I'm like this, which way do I go? I don't know where, and I'm from Bellflower. That's where I started my dirt. And I walked right past my mom's house. I'm wearing a blue jumpsuit, hair pink, bright burgundy pink with these white, shoes. And I'm walking down the street and I see my mom. She's in a pagoda with some friends of hers. And I walk up and it's like I slide in. Hey, Mom, I just got out of jail. Can I take a shower? And she's like, it's always been very, very traumatic when I see anybody, And so she's like, what are you doing here? What is your hair pink? And I said, Mom, look, I'm getting ready to go to prison. I'm going to do 16 months. I need to take a shower and start getting my stuff together. I need to go pick up my stuff from county jail. So she allows me to take a shower. She got me in the car as fast as she could, took me straight to the bus station, get out. And so I went and did all I had to do, turn myself in. One of the things that was a big eye opener for me is that nobody was there to take care of me this time. So, I packed up some stuff, no drugs, but enough to get me where I needed to be when I needed to be in jail and in prison. It was profitable. So after I had gotten busted that time, I got on meds because I was, like I said, I was a basket case. This is that, that eye opener that says you can't do this by yourself. That psychosis was really, really shocking. I thought I had my shit together, and so I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Through the American Indian Counseling Center, I've been, hanging on for a long time now. I was able to acquire housing through them. I'm still on meds for depression. I have sleep disorder due to the meth. I have racing thoughts, all that, but everything is doable. I did a back to basics, doing like you did, doing it as fast as I can to get to the root cause, find out what's holding me back, what's holding me down, and did all my steps like in 2 weeks, read my 9th step, and it helped, come to find out that my sister was very abusive to me. I didn't have, molestation or anything like that in my past, but my sister was real abusive to me. We're now the best of friends. We see each other all the time. I've been able to share with her everything. So when I got to Fred Brown, the first program that I had gone to was in Pacoima. And like I said, I'm addicted to stuff. And I manipulated the donations department. And they put me on restriction. And I'm the kind of person that if I get extra duty, I'm knocking that out right now. So nothing can hold me back from getting a pass or whatever. And so I ended up being late, doing some extra duty, ended up being late to where I needed to be. And so I got another, 2 hours extra duty, and that took my pass. And I just stormed out with all my, now I came in with what I was wearing. I got out of there with 8 bags, 6 months in there, and I got, 8 bags, and somebody's coming all the way from Pasadena to pick me up.
They get it.
Yeah. And then I went to a place called Casa Amiga. And it was an all women's facility, and I was on GR, and I was up, back in that other program, I'd be up, coffee 5:30 in the morning, writing in my journal, doing everything I needed to do, keep my head down, doing what I needed to do. And so when I get to Casa Amigas, I see the people that are struggling, and I try to keep my distance, so I can just do what I got to do to finish what I need to finish and get off probation and parole. And the GR said that I needed to go to work. And I was like, what? I've never had a job before, ever. And, I beat the streets, knocking on doors. Nothing was happening. And I found out through my probation officer that I was eligible for Health Rights 360. And that's where I found Fred Brown. And I think I called him. They called him on a Thursday. I was here on a Friday. And the person that brought me drove 18-wheelers. So I'm in this 18-wheeler. I have storage units, so I only have one bag now. And it's on wheels. And we pull up right out in front of 14th Street. Yeah. And they tell me, oh, no, you're in Torrance. You're, down the street. And so that was when Donna was here. And I stayed there. And we would come up here on the bus. We would go to meetings on the 14th Street side in the garage. And then I got off parole. I don't know if I think I got off parole first. I got off parole first. And I think my Health Rights 360 stopped. So they wanted me to pay for it. And I was like, how the hell am I going to make, at the time it was only $600. But I was like, shit, I couldn't get a job in Pasadena for $250. What makes me think I'm going to be able to pay $600 now? So I packed up all my stuff and found myself in a shelter in Bell, the city of Bell, the Salvation Army Bell shelter. And that saved my life. Like I said, the hardest part for me was to give up the prostitution, the sugar daddies, all that. And there was just things that I wasn't willing to do anymore for an income. And so I went to this Bell shelter, and I remember hearing one time about Fred Brown letting people that when they graduate or whatever, a lot of them come to work. And I called at the time your other staff member, and she said, sure, come on down. I'm an alumni, come on down. And Roxy, you had me cutting stars for the garage on 14th Street for the people that had graduated years. And I thought, I'm sitting there cutting, right? And I'm thinking, you know what? I know what I can do. So I go to a printing shop. And I get an estimate. And I brought it back to her. I said, that's all I can do, just looking for anything to occupy my time. And Fred Brown has always been there for me. I'd come up with some wild hair, scheme idea. And I think I'm going to Fred Brown and see if maybe I can do this, because I'm an opportunist, aren't we all, And so, but she always opened her door for me. You always let me come and do whatever you could give me to do, some menial job, and I want to thank you for that. And then I know Nancy, and I met Nancy at the housing that I acquired, which is in Cabrillo Village. And I got that through my mental health. And so I met Nancy, and I just moved into the place, and I even got to pick my own apartment, and it was furnished. I got the call. Okay, so there's a story that I have, that I went to a baby shower for the first time. I went to this baby shower. This girl has a dog, and she's pregnant, and I picked up a puppy. I want one of her puppies when she comes out. So I went to a baby shower and found a baby. So, so I got the call. I was on my way to Tijuana. I got the call that I got my housing and my puppy was born. And when I asked her, she says, yeah, it's furnished and everything. And I'm thinking to myself, this is like a sober living, And she says, I go, so how many people am I sharing a room with? And she says, it's just yours. I started bawling like a baby. Oh my God, oh my God. You know? And so I move into this place. I had saved money in the Bell Shelter, was, something that was required. So I was able to, get all the little stuff that happens in an apartment when it's all your own and you don't need to buy furniture. So I met Nancy. And there was a gal upstairs that was having a hard time keeping it together. And she had a couple kids. And Nancy would go over there and spend time with her and help her try to stay on track. And she would come down and she would read on the patio, because right off my apartment door, there's the patio. That's why I picked it. It's like I can have a party. I have a curtain that goes across the door. You can have a party. The whole patio is mine. It's like an extension of my apartment. And Nancy used to sit out there and she would read. And I always remembered this ring that she had, like a star. And I thought, I want to get to know her. And she has been trudging ever since, and then what happens? I call her, just to say hi and tell her about Fred Brown. And I told her, yeah, no, I graduated from Fred Brown. And she's like, oh my God, I work at Fred Brown. I was like, oh, there it is again. There it is again. What are the odds? Fred Brown has something very, very special. Yeah. Latch on. You're going to be raw for a period of time, but this will pass. This will pass. You will get your kids back. Things will happen so fast, you wish you had this time. I'm serious. It will happen that fast. You'll get your kids back. You'll get the job. You'll get the car. You'll get all these things, and that's just by putting one foot in front of the other and taking care of what you need to take care of and find out what it is that's bugging you, that's keeping you from being your best self, and stay attached to these people, because they need you more than you need them. That's right. It's really important. And look on the bright side, you may get a job here. The odds are good. The odds are good. She's always opening up a new house because that's how many people come through here. There's always a house going to be open, so there's room, yeah, I think I was talking to somebody earlier. I don't remember what it was about, but I was like, I was in the GR line and the guy's standing right there. He said, yeah, I just did 28 years. And I said, oh, you need to go to Fred Brown, because the first time I met an outside lifer was at Fred Brown, and that doesn't happen often. But if you can get your foot in the door, someplace that's willing to help you no matter what, and they're not going to let you go until you're ready. You got to absolutely walk out of here or, they will find a way. They let me stay a week before I had to, I'm taking up space, you know what I mean? It's a business regardless, but yeah, just stay attached to these people. A lot of times, one of the things when I was using, I was a white girl in a very diverse situation all the time, and my dirt started, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Fedora, it was like a street that had, bumper to bumper cars looking for drugs before the horses came. And I'm always looking for people that I've known from over there, even though I never knew their name, I never got that attached, I never, I hung by myself, I did the dirt by myself. But anytime I come in these rooms, there's always somebody that I know from these rooms, I didn't have any friends, so it was easy for me to do, focus on me. I didn't have kids, so it was easy to focus on me. And I took advantage of that. Before you know it, you'll be given an option, and that's either pay your way or find a way, and Fred Brown will have you ready to find your way. Know that, you know? Can I get a time check? Because I don't think, oh my God, are you kidding? What do you think I'm doing? Okay, let's see. Okay, so now my sister and I are like two peas in a pod right now. I had never gotten tattooed. I danced for a long time. Started taxi dancing at 16. That Pat Benatar, Loves the Battlefield, where the girls are sitting on the couch and guys go like this and you go and punch in a card and you go and dance with these guys. I was 16 when I first started. And so now I lost my whole train of thought. So I never got tattoos because I was always a bikini dancer. So now that me and my sister hang out, she goes to Laughlin. She was married for 30 years and he stepped out on her. And so she got these tattoos, like big old long tattoos up the side of her. One has butterflies, of the years that they've been apart. And this one has broken hearts, of all the years they were together. And so she goes to Laughlin every year for her birthday. So this year will be my third year and I'm gonna finish this off. So that's my new addiction, tattoos. That's right. We plan on, she has an RV, so we're gonna go and through Ancestry, I found out that I have a brother in Colorado on my father's side. And my father's on his deathbed. And now I'm the one they call to authorize certain procedures that they want to do. He wasn't a good father, he wasn't a good person, but still, and his quality of life isn't good. So anyway, we plan on going on my birthday, which is July 5th. We're gonna go to Colorado, see my brother, my new brother. Then we're going to Oklahoma. I have Choctaw Indian, and we have deeds, what are they called? Bonds. We have bonds from 1907 in some of the old paperwork. So I'm gonna go find out whether we were done wrong or I'm doing somebody else wrong, but I'm gonna find out what these bonds are about. Then we're gonna go and see my niece who is in Kansas. And then we're going to see my friend Joyce in Kentucky. So we're gonna do a little 2-week run around and we're leaving right after a wedding. So this is the life that I get to live. My little dog, his name's Skachunka, which means white dog in native. He's a little Chihuahua Pomeranian blonde. I have a black cat named Brindle, and I have a pink and gray parrot named Tickle Tickle. I thought it was a boy, and I named him Ding Dong, but Ding Ding, it was Ding Ding. But and she's so sweet. She's so sweet. And it's all legal. It's all above ground. The robbery at the pet store wasn't me. I swear, I paid for that bird. My little dog, he's a terror. You can't give him anything that he won't sit there and he'll guard it for months, I swear. I have to take it from him because he gets so crazy. I tell people he's not friendly. He's not friendly. But he's a sweet dog. But he's bipolar, like his mom. He terrorizes the cat. The bird is shell-shocked. So today I don't have too many worries. I think the biggest worry today was I didn't have any. I just didn't have any. I put one foot in front of the other. I wake up and I'm grateful. I put myself to sleep by saying prayers. you know, over and over and over in my head. You know, I have very vivid dreams, and I wake up and it's like I had watched this action flick, you know. I have using dreams, and to me, I appreciate them because it reminds me of where I was, you know, and that the grind that I put down. You know, I do nothing now. You know, one of the things that I asked God to grant me was to be still, you know, because I was ripping and running the streets. I was an everyday user. I always had to have it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it, or I wasn't functioning. If I didn't have drugs, I was asleep, and somebody put the pipe to my mouth and lit it, you know, and then I opened my eyes. You know, that's the type of user I was, and he granted me that immediately. You know, I watch what I pray for because it happens immediately for me. You know, and when I pray for people, I say without jails, institutions, and death, you know, because my prayers are answered. You know, I know God has been in my life this whole time. You know, there were times when I'd be walking down the street on Alvarado, you know, getting ready to jump into the park, you know, flashy, and say to anybody next to me, if I drop to my knees and start praying, either you can keep going or you can pray with me, you know, but God has always been there for me. Always been there for me. I know every time I've been to jail, it was divine intervention, you know, and he continues to work in my life. The sister that abused me bought me a car. It's that little PT Cruiser out there, and so I tricked her out as best I could, you know. But, you know, I put a lot of money into her, you know. I can't afford a brand new car with the insurance, you know, so I just, you know, did what I did, you know, and she's working, you know, the engine light isn't on, my insurance is paid, my bills are paid. I try not to live above my means, but it happens. Credit cards are paid, you know, it's a hustle. It's a hustle. It better be less than 4. Is it less than 4?
You got 20 seconds.
So you guys hang in there. Girls, I'm telling you, life gets super sweet. Super sweet. You know, everything is whatever you want to happen is going to happen, you know, and stay close to Fred Brown. And when it's your turn to be the speaker, show up.